Technology has changed us, and one of the way it has changed us is in our sense of urgency. We need to respond to stuff right away. We know that this isn't always helpful, especially in relationships, not only in our relationships with each other, but our relationships at work and at home. I've got something I would like to challenge you to practice. It's called the 8-second rule. The 8-second rule is built on a premise that when you don't respond immediately, when you give yourself 8 seconds to pause, to reflect, to breathe, you're going to respond wiser and you're going to cut down on conflicts. Here is what it does when you practice the 8-second. For one thing, it cuts down on the fight or flight response. We all have that wired into our body. It's a safety measure. When something happens, we decide quickly. Our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure goes up. We respond. Are we going to get involved or not? Are we going to fight or are we going to run? Once you get that going, you not only sacrifice your ability to think things through clearly, but what happens more is you secrete cortisol, which has a lot to do with lowering your immune system and basically adding on extra pounds, which nobody wants. So much better to give yourself 8 seconds, calm down, allow yourself to breathe, to slow your heart rate, and then respond to whatever seemed to be so urgent that usually isn't. Secondly, it indicates to your partner when you take an 8-second rule to that you are present. And they'll look up from their phone like, why is it taking you so long to answer? They're going to mimic your ability to breathe, to slow down. And many times that alone can stop or minimize an argument, even if you're in the middle of it. So I strongly encourage you to practice that. When your partner asks you something and you just give them 8 to 10 seconds while you relax and slow your thoughts, you're going to respond kinder, not as crabby, and it's probably going to be a much more thoughtful response, and it's going to help them feel more connected. Thirdly, it increases your patience during transition times. Transition times are those really difficult times. Getting up in the morning, getting breakfast, packing lunches, coming home at night, helping with homework, getting your work clothes off, getting dinner on the table. Those kinds of times are just phenomenal for starting fights, for having conflict, because you're stressed. You're stressed because you're overwhelmed and there's so much going on that you need to attend to. If you will take 8 to 10 seconds and just breathe before you answer the kiddos or your partner or anyone else that you're engaged with, it's going to help you respond smarter, kinder, and with more grace than you would have if you just spouted something off because you're stressed out and overwhelmed. And lastly, it enhances your self-image because when you're able to actually think before you talk, you start feeling more confident. You start feeling like, I've got this. I am able to control myself. I am able to take care of myself and give myself permission to slow down, to breathe. That's my human right. And yes, that is your human right. And when you take good care of yourself by practicing the 8-second rule, you're actually allowing yourself to love and connect with others better.